You wake up, you shower, you put on deodorant, and you walk out smelling like a human being. Now imagine doing none of that, ever. That is not a nightmare. That is just ancient hygiene. And if you have ever wondered, how did ancient people smell? The answer is so much worse than you are picturing right now. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on one of the most overlooked chapters in human history. The gross, the smelly, the absolutely fascinating body odor history of our ancestors. Stick around, because trust me, by the end of this, you will never take your shower for granted again. Let us go back, way back. In the daily life of ancient times, there was no running water, no soap bars sitting on a ceramic dish, no deodorant, nothing. Early humans relied entirely on rivers, rain, and whatever plant remedies the local shaman happened to know about. And speaking of shamans, these were the original hygiene consultants. Through careful observation and centuries of knowledge sharing, they passed down which herbs reduced infection, which plant remedies soothe skin, and which leaves you absolutely should not use to wipe yourself. Ancient medicine was built not from textbooks, but from experimentation and survival. But here is the part that truly belongs in the file of disgusting history facts. The smell was not just personal, it was everywhere. Ancient cities, Rome, Athens, Alexandria, were soaked in the combination of animal waste, open sewers, rotting food, and tens of thousands of unwashed human bodies packed into narrow streets. What life was really like in ancient times would make even the bravest among us gag at the city gates. And yet, people adapted, because that is what humans do. Now here is where ancient history gets genuinely interesting. Rome, the empire that built roads, aqueducts, and public bathhouses. The Roman baths' real history is nothing like the romantic image you might have in your head. Yes, Romans bathed, sometimes daily. But did Romans use soap? Not really. They used olive oil. They would coat themselves in oil, then scrape the sweat, dirt, and dead skin off with a curved metal tool called a strigil. Then, and this is the part, multiple strangers would share the same bathwater, the same scraped-off skin water, together. And the ancient perfumes and sweat relationship was something else entirely. Wealthy Romans poured perfume over themselves not to smell good, but to cover up the smell of not being clean. The history of sweat in ancient Rome is basically the history of very expensive air freshener. So the next time someone tells you the Romans were civilized, remind them of the communal skin-scraping water. Here is a question I genuinely want you to think about, and drop your answer in the comments. If you were teleported into ancient Rome right now, no deodorant, no soap, no choice, how long do you think you would last before completely losing your mind from the smell? 1 day? 1 hour? Honestly, I think I would tap out before breakfast. Tell me below. I am genuinely curious. Let us talk about the worst hygiene in history across other civilizations. Because Rome is not alone in this hall of shame. In ancient Egypt, a civilization famous for its grandeur, the gross history facts are hiding just beneath the golden surface. Yes, Egyptians bathed more than most, but they also used animal fat mixed with fragrant herbs as deodorant. They shaved their entire bodies to reduce bacteria. And wealthy Egyptians wore cones of scented wax on top of their heads, which would slowly melt throughout the day, dripping perfume fat down their faces and necks. That is ancient perfumes and sweat, Egyptian edition, elegant and absolutely horrifying at the same time. Meanwhile, in medieval Europe, arguably the capital of worst hygiene in history, bathing was actually considered dangerous. The church had convinced people that opening your pores in hot water let evil spirits in, so people went months, sometimes an entire year, without a proper wash. The body odor history of medieval peasants is a chapter that deserves its own horror film. And yet, here is the twist in this morbid history. They survived, generation after generation. Their bodies adapted. Their immune systems became fortresses built through constant exposure. By the way, if you are enjoying this journey through the worst hygiene in history, a like and a subscribe would mean the world to this channel. We dig into the dark, the strange, and the forgotten corners of human history every single week. Now, back to the smell. Here is the part of this story that I think gets overlooked the most. Underneath all of this gross things from history, All the shared bathwater, the melting wax cones, the year-long no-shower streaks. There is something genuinely human. Early humans did not have labs or libraries. What they had was each other. Through observation, through knowledge sharing, through endless experimentation across human history, they slowly pieced together what kept them alive. Shamans tested plant remedies on the sick. Communities watched which behaviors led to sickness and which led to survival. Adaptation was not a luxury. It was the only option. The history of sweat and smell is not just a gross history fact. It is the story of a species figuring itself out. One failed experiment, one shared discovery, one generation at a time. And somehow, here we are. With soap and showers and deodorant sticks that smell like ocean breeze. We did not get here despite our disgusting past. We got here because of it. So, the next time you complain about being sweaty on a hot day, just remember, somewhere in ancient Rome, someone was scraping their neighbor's skin water off a communal bath wall and calling it a Tuesday. We have come a long way. If this video made you appreciate your deodorant just a little bit more, or made you feel deeply relieved to be alive right now, leave a comment, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel. We explore these wild, dark, and fascinating corners of human history every week. And trust me, the next one is just as strange. See you there!